change. What's up, everybody? How are you? It is Monday, Local Music Monday here on EC Radio. You can follow along on all Disruption Network social media platforms, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, YouTube, all those social media platforms. You know what I'm talking about. Before we get anything, much love to the sponsors. If not for the sponsors, this podcast is not happening. So much love to our good friend over at EJA Moving Services, the professional movers. When it's time to move and relocate, hit up Eddie. They'll pretty much move whatever you need to move. They'll move a stuffed elephant. If you have a stuffed elephant, they'll move the freaking thing for you. If you have gym equipment, he'll move the gym equipment for you. There's not a task they can't handle. Also, for you snowbirds that are ready to move down to Florida or Arizona or go out west, they'll drive your car. They do car transport. So give them a call today at 315-335-0516 or hit them up at ejamoving.com. Much love to my attorney, Dave Longaretta. If not for him, I would probably be in jail. So much love to him. Give him a call today if you need legal advice at 315-735-6162. Shout out to Utica Coffee, wakethehellup.com. You can find them online. I love this stuff. I went high potent test today, the high potency.
I love it.
And this stuff really gets me going. But thank you so much to Frank and Heather and everybody at Utica Coffee. And also, we can't forget our good friends over at Saranac.
Yay.
They stuffed our fridge last week.
That's right.
Oh, nice.
Everybody
Happy holidays.
Yeah. Everybody needs a Damon call in their life, right?
Yep.
Can you agree to that?
Yes.
Yep.
Everybody needs a Damon. He came down and stuffed our refrigerator, and he's like, buddy, we haven't seen each other in a while, so it was good to
I gotta
hang
hit
out
him
and
up.
stuff.
I
Hit him
know,
up,
right?
bro. You're in town, dude.
Oh,
You're in
didn't even
town.
think about it.
It is Local Music Monday. Joining me, as always, my tag team partner, my brother, my man from the band Poor Tim and Showtime, Justin Smithson. How was your weekend, bro?
Doing all right, man.
What'd you do? Anything fun this weekend?
I did a couple gigs.
You did?
Yeah.
Where were we at
Yeah, I
this
played Dick Smith's on Thursday, as usual.
Right.
And then Friday and Saturday were both at Fratello's. I played Friday with Sean, with Poor Tim. And then Saturday we did a little trio thing with Gary Johnson and Joe Rossi. And we call ourselves the law offices of Johnson, Rossi, and Smithson. Because it's perfect. The last names fit great. So
It does.
that's what we call ourselves. But, yeah.
Good time this weekend?
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
We had fun.
A little sense of normalcy for
A little
you.
bit, yeah.
That's
a little
good.
bit.
You need some of that.
Yeah, plus it's a block and a half down the street from my house, so it works out even better.
You go home like this? You have one of those nights?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you didn't even have to break your gear down on Friday.
No.
did you?
Well, I broke it down a little bit. You wrote the
Right,
chords,
right.
and I stuffed everything in the corner. I'm like, Brian, can I leave everything here? He's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. I'm like, sweet, bye, guys.
Nothing like a
I was
gig
home like
that.
15 minutes after I was done playing. I was walking to my door. I'm like, this is great. I kind of like the 10 o'clock end, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit older, but
No doubt. No doubt. We got to introduce our guest, my man, my brother. Bro, thank you so much for taking the drive down here. Joe Altier.
I need to get
joining
out of
us today.
Syracuse for a little bit.
You
so-
get out of the house?
Yeah.
You're like the guru of like live streaming right now.
Yeah.
You are.
Well, I wanted to do this like a year ago.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to start
Well,
doing
you
it about
have
a
been.
year.
You've been doing it for a while,
Right.
Joe.
Like there was a couple years ago where I started doing Facebook Live with a virtual tip jar, and it was like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was on to something, but I kind of got away from it because that was getting so busy that I was forgetting to pay attention to where the hell I was. Like I'm at a gig, I got to pay attention to people that are paying me.
Right.
So I'm like, I had to pull back, and I wish at that moment I kind of went over at the time because musicians and people have been killing it on Twitch for years.
Yeah.
So a pandemic just kind of gave me a lot of time to be able to do it.
For sure. And you're doing it every night, pretty much?
4 nights a week.
4 nights a week?
Tuesday afternoons, Wednesday evenings, Thursday nights, and Friday nights.
Wow.
And then once in a while I'll throw another one in there, but I've given myself weekends off.
Mm-hmm.
For a musician, that's
incredible.
unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, like,
but I've
sorry, I had to process. I don't understand what that means, weekends off.
Right. No, neither did I because, well, partly it's because I have my daughter every other weekend, so it's nice to I can completely pay attention to my daughter for the weekend. We can do stuff without me going, crap, I got to get you to the sitter, I got to drop you off so-and-so, and I got to leave or I got to pick you up, and I'm, all this shuffling. And then on the weekends I don't have her, I can choose to take a gig or two. If there are, there's more gigs here in Utica than there are in Syracuse.
Oh, yeah.
Is there?
For the entire time, that's usually the other way around.
Yeah, right.
Usually Utica musicians are like, hey, man, I'm trying to get into
need a
Syracuse. I
gig.
need
Yeah.
gigs in Syracuse. Now it's like, man, there's more gigs to be had down this way than there is Syracuse because there's less restrictions and whatnot.
Right.
But
Less gray area or orange area, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in Herkimer County right now. Herkimer County's just, still underneath that, the color scheme, I guess,
Crazy.
wherever that is. But you know.
Joe, I got to tell you, you know how you get the Spotify numbers? You know, of your most viewed or listened to artists? Brand New Sin ended up number 3 on my list.
Nice.
Still rocking it, bro. But you know what Brand New Sin is to me? Workout music.
Yeah.
That's what I love to listen to.
We were on the Bills game last night.
And you're on the Bills game. I was going to bring that up,
I was almost asleep. And my phone starts blowing up. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm looking over, and I was like, dude, you were just on the Bills game. Like an outro. They kicked a field goal, and you heard the rest of My World.
Oh, I heard
That's
it.
awesome.
You know, and
So last night on the Bills game featured 3 upstate New York artists.
yeah, Honor Bright was on there, I heard, too.
Oh, so there's 4.
Yeah, I heard Honor Bright was on there.
Mo was like bumper music. Brand New Sin, Wild Adriatic.
Oh, yeah.
And then now you're telling me Honor Bright.
Honor Bright.
Wow, so 4 bands from upstate New York.
Yeah, and then someone's like, well, how do you think that happened? I go, one of 2 things. I go, not before I knew there was other New York, something New York artists on there, I was like, well, we still have a publishing deal with Magic Arts, which is now owned by Sony. I go, they're still working that catalog every once in a while. Hey, we're looking for this type of music, and they'll shop it. But once I saw that CNY connection, I'm like, somebody working at the network that's in charge of music directors, either from the area, went to SU, something like that, and then they get to choose that. And all they got to do is just like anything with like a radio. They just have to let everyone know that, like, hey, we played this. Everyone's like, oh, you're going to get paid for that? I go, yeah, I'll probably get like $5.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but I'll see it in a year and a half on my BMI check, but it'll come. But network television, that's probably 10 seconds.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
If that.
And there was no singing. There's a big difference in the royalty payment when there's singing and when there's just musical beds.
Really?
Wow. Yes, big difference.
Did not know that.
Yeah. Same with a movie. If you're an extra in a movie, you're fine. But as soon as you sneeze or say one word, it makes your rate go up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they played something with lyrics, you get a little bit more.
Yeah.
But now, what about if they only spin it for like 3 seconds or 5 seconds? Does that still register
still
as like some kind of?
Yeah. But the longer it goes, the higher the rate goes.
Okay.
Same with movies. Movies are the same way.
Yeah.
But they'll do that, and it's a way for them to keep their costs down. Because they have a music budget for every show. It's just like any other thing.
Yeah.
What
was it like being on School of Rock? He was in School of Rock with Jack Black.
That was
and
crazy.
then Brand New Sin was in
it was
the
kind of
background
a
of that.
fluke in a way.
Was it?
Yeah, well, how it happened was the guy who owned our first record label had friends. His friend was a casting director for, I want to say Paramount was the movie the company that did School of Rock. And he's like, you guys got nothing going on. Come down to, where did we go? Parsippany? Jersey, something like that.
The home of the Karate
right.
Kid.
And they were like, they're filming down here. They didn't need extras that look like band members for this Jack Black movie. And we get there, and they put us in this basement of a church, and there's all these other people there that were trying to dress the part. We had played The Haunt the night before, and we rolled in just like,
still reeking of booze.
yeah. like just our stage clothes and everything else. And we get in there. It was in January. It was like early January or December, something like that. It was snowing, and we sat there hungover, and they're like, hey, all right. And they're bringing up everybody one by one or by groups. And we get up there to the casting people, and we take our coats off, and they're like,
we got it.
We got
guys.
it. And they sent home like everybody. They kept like a couple of people like, we got a band. They're like, who are you guys? We're like, we're a band. They're like, you look like a band. I'm like, well, we're a band. So we end up being in that scene, and that scene was the shot. The scene that was shot during that period that we're there for a week was when he snuck the kids out of school to go to the tryouts.
Yeah.
And the part that comes down, and the one band's like, I thought this was band tryouts, not tryouts for the Mickey Mouse Club.
Right.
And that's us standing there. But it's crazy, like for, what is that, like a 3, 4, 5 minute scene in the movie? That took like 5 days to shoot. Like
5 days?
Dude, the best thing about watching or being part of that movie is to watch how they make a freaking motion picture.
Sure.
It is. And then when they're talking, they'll have a conversation. There's no 2 cameras. They'll do the camera this way, camera this way, camera this way, and just do it over and over and over again. And then Jack Black is like ad-libbing. And the director of that movie was Richard Linklater, who did like Dazed and Confused and all that. So that, they had a very rapport. So it was really cool to watch. So then we were there for a week. We ended up hanging out with all the kids because the kids can only be on set for so long because of the restrictions. So then we end up, they're going to school in the next room where we're in holding. And we're on set for like 12 hours a day, getting paid $75 an hour.
Eating burritos.
Eating out of catering. Like this amazing catering. They're like, hey, we got prime rib for lunch, and there's a sandwich truck always there. There was a bar around the corner, so we just go down to the bar and drink it, and someone would be like, hey, we got to get back. We got to go over to the set. And then we were jamming with the kids. I still talk to some of the kids from the movie. Yeah, they're all like 30 years old now.
Right.
They're all grown up. They're
Didn't they just get back together and like do like a reunion?
Yeah,
or
they did
something
like
where
a
they
Zoom,
played.
Yeah, they did like a Zoom thing.
Yeah,
they got together.
Back together and played.
So we're in that part of the scene of the movie. We get done. We leave. We go back home, and then we're getting ready to go out on the road for like 3 months, like 3 different tours, January, February, and March. We're going to be gone for 3 months. We do a tour. We start a tour. We're doing a tour with Kitty, and then from Kitty, we're going out with Clutch. So we start touring with Kitty. We're in McAllen, Texas, which is further down than Corpus Christi. We're way the fuck down. And our manager calls, and they're like, they want you guys for more scenes in this movie. We're like, but you got to leave the tour. And we're like, he's like, listen, you guys ain't going to make any money on this tour. They're going to need you for a week and a half. You guys they're going to pay you up front. They're putting you up. Come back. So then we had to boogie all the way to Staten Island.
Oh my God.
So we just drove the fucking Staten Island.
You just dumped the tour?
Yeah, we dumped the tour. We told the girls and Kitty, we're in a movie with Jack Black, and like, go, you gotta go.
Yeah.
So we left. Our trailer almost blew up in Tennessee on the way. This is a whole side story. I gotta tell the side story. So we're driving through like Tennessee, and all of a sudden, all these cars are pulling up on the side of our van. They're going like this, and we're like, hey, and they kept pointing in the back. We're like, whatever, yeah. We turn around, and one of our trailer tires is on fire. We're doing like 70 down the highway, and there's just flames coming off the back. We're like, what? Because the friction, it must have, the bumper must have fallen down, or the fender fell down. So it's a Sunday in Tennessee at like 4 in the afternoon.
Ooh.
We're not going to find anybody. We finally limp our trailer to this like shop. Dude, it's deliverance all over, and we're like, oh God. So the guy's like, well, I can fix it, but I can't do it today. When do you guys need this fixed by? And we're like, now.
Yeah.
Like, we got to be. I can't do that. He goes, my buddy down the street will rent you a trailer. So we left the trailer there, and we're like, we're going to be back here in 3 weeks because we're going to be on tour with Clutch. And I knew that we could route through. So called the record label, like, dude, we got to rent us a trailer. We're not going to make it. So go get a U-Haul trailer, throw it out on there, and then drove. And then 3 weeks later, had to stop at this crazy guy's shop and pick our fucking trailer up.
Oh, man.
But yeah, so then we went back to Staten Island, and we shot. That was the final scene of the movie, where like the battle of the bands.
Yeah.
And even then, we're only in the background. Like all those scenes, like we're literally in the wings of the studio or of the theater. But it was just it was just a really great experience to watch that. And the music got in the movie where you can barely hear it. But Jack Black like heard us one day. He knew that we're a band, and he listened to us and found a way to get our music in the movie. He's like, I can't get on the soundtrack. Soundtrack's done. But he goes, we'll find a spot for the movie. And it's 2.5 minutes play. And that's significant.
Wow.
And it gets, like, we're splitting out with...
What song do they put on?
Sad Wings.
Sad Wings.
You can't hear it. You can't hear it. No. It's the part where the one big, like, the girl singing, the black girl, is like, Mr. G, I can't do it. I'm really shy. I'm overweight and all that. And that whole scene... It's playing in the background, but it's barely audible. But I get paid for it. We get paid for it.
Wow.
But I can understand why, like, if you place a couple songs in a few hit movies, you can make some money.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm yearly at this point, because that movie is still being played, you know, I think probably $400 or $500 a year I get off of that movie.
Wow, no kidding.
That's pretty good.
So I'm thinking I'm already splitting up 6 ways, 6 ways with the band and portion with a record label. If you wrote the song yourself and owned all that other stuff, and you placed like 3 or 4 movies that were big, forget about it. You'd be rolling.
No doubt.
Sync licensing is the future. That's how you make the money. That's a whole other conversation.
Sure.
That's a whole nother level we could go with, Joe.
Yeah,
Is like the way you think, like so far in advance.
Right.
Like your mind is always constantly moving
that's
forward.
That's how you make a career out of this. You know.
Yeah, especially in today's day and age with Corona and the Corona coaster that we're all riding on. You got to reinvent yourself big time right now because there's no gigs. I mean, Justin, you're lucky to have the gigs that you have on the weekends.
I play every gig like it's the last one I'm going to play because nobody knows.
It might be. You might wake up tomorrow and be like, well, they're all gone.
Yeah.
When I get to perform in front of people and play my guitar and sing in front of people, it's like this. You almost take it for granted when you're doing it. You know, I played last year. I did 275 shows last year. I mean, and like. It's not that I took it for granted. It's just it became my life. That's what I did every day. You know what I mean? It was just, okay, here we go, another gig. Here we go, another gig. And now it's like, oh, my God, I got a gig. This is so awesome. It's like back when I was 13 years old. Like it brought me right back there again. Like, I got a gig. I'm so excited.
Like right now, I have no gigs on my calendar. Not one.
Yeah, I got like 2 right now.
And that's crazy. Where you normally play like almost 300 gigs
I played
a year.
The past 3 years prior to this was 315 or so.
Yep.
You know, and then all of a sudden this year I got, who knows what I play this year, maybe 30 or 40. And that's with the weddings. And all my weddings, most of them were like either scaled the F down or moved to next year or cancel altogether. And like there were some that were going to happen in January and February, and then they're ixing those. And some people are just like, we're just going to, it's changing the wedding industry for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because now people ain't going to have the $40, $50, $60,000 to spend.
Sure.
And now they're making more like a micro weddings. You know, just cocktail hour type of stuff.
Backyards.
Well, I think the law right now is that if you you go to have it at a hotel or whatever, you can't have more than 50 people total.
No.
And there's no dancing.
No.
So why would you hire a DJ or you know what I mean? If it were me and I'd have to do this, I'd set a speaker up and play some music over, with my iPhone or something like that. Because if you can't dance, you're supposed to eat and then leave. There's no celebration. There's no introductions.
They cut the cake. You can't even get the cake.
No.
They can't even serve the cake.
No.
Like I did one at Turning Stone. We're in the Shenandoah room over there. 50 people in that giant room. And it was just like, dude, this is the most awkward wedding I've ever been at. But it's going to be weird. Like I wanted to pull out of the wedding business before all this happened just because it was just like, it's a lot of work, man.
It really is.
It's so much. Like your whole day's shot.
Yeah.
Like you're up at 10, you don't get home until 12.
Right.
You got to move your gear 4 different times during the day. You got to be on point. Hey, you got to learn this song. You got to play this song at this time, and you got to make a medley of these 3 tunes. I'm like, I'm not doing this.
I can't imagine how it is for you either, though, because
I don't know. Somebody's here, but they're not coming in.
No.
They were locked up.
As far as you do the wedding stuff by yourself.
Well, I have a partner that I do.
You do?
Like, if you hire me, I got a guy that will do all the he brings the photo booth, he DJs.
Gotcha.
And, I'm just the guy. I got away from I don't want to MC the wedding anymore. I just want to play cocktail hour.
Sure.
And hang out.
Because I guess what I was going to say is that the only thing that makes it enjoyable for me, I would say, is that I got 5 or 6 other guys that I can hang with. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that makes it enjoyable to the point. We sit around for 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
And at least, if you've been playing in a band with people for a long time like that, you got stuff to talk about. You know what I mean? It's just you're just.
That's
talking,
even with a duo at a bar. Like sometimes, dude, I'm on an island when you're by. You know what it's like by yourself. You're just like.
Just sit there and you're like, thank God for Facebook.
Right. I'll do that. I'll scroll and I'm on autopilot with half the songs I play anyways.
Sure. Yeah.
What have you learned about yourself throughout this Corona coaster?
I don't know how to sit still.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not running out the door to play 300 gigs a year, I'm still hustling at home.
Yeah.
But I've learned to I wanted to slow down, but it's then you're well, if I slow down, then are people going to forget about me? Or, there's musicians out there waiting for you to not do the gigs.
Right.
They want your gigs.
Yeah, seriously.
Sure.
I want you. They'll do anything. Most of them I love, but there's some dudes that they don't give a shit. They're ready to steal your gig at any moment. So I'm just was you know what? Have them. I'm going to put thank God for my accountant. My accountant saved my ass this year.
Yeah.
I didn't understand why she would do certain things that she did over the past couple of years. I'm like, man, why are we doing this? And then when this hit, I qualified for all those different programs and the PPP and SBAs and like there's all this stuff that like she put me in place for, and she's like, now you can concentrate on flipping your business.
Wow.
And when this comes back, Twitch is still going to be my main focus, and then gigs will be like I'm gonna my plan would be maybe 5-6 gigs a month at the places that I truly in love to play.
Then you could pick and choose,
and my worth is gonna go up. And then I can charge more and be like, well, whatever. I'll go play somewhere else is going to pay me that. Like, I'm only going to play. Like, the gigs I have played have all been, like, packed because I don't play.
Right.
They're turning people away, or the reservations are sold out.
right?
I'll
That's
tell
gonna
you
make
what.
you
Have
feel good, though.
Yeah, have you noticed that your tips have gone, like, up?
Oh,
during
yeah.
this time? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's especially now, like anytime that I get out and play, the people that come out to see us play are, I mean, still to this day are people that this is my first time out of the house. I had to get out.
Yeah.
It's like I had to get out. And then, those are the people that you see a 20 or a 50 in the tip jar, and you're like, it's not that I feel bad. It's just that it's like I'm happy that they felt that I was worth that much to them.
Right.
That they're having such a good time that I was able to do that for
like
them.
before,
you know
you'd look at the tip jar at the end of the night, and there's a bunch of 1s and 5s, and now it's been replaced with 5, 10s, 20s, 50s.
Sure.
I've seen a couple hundreds going there and stuff like that. I'm like, because I think it made people realize how much we were taking for granted.
Sure.
Or how much a lot of things were taken for granted. And that's what I learned in general is like how much I was overworking, how much I wasn't spending enough time on myself and my family and my daughter and everything else. And I'm like, this is a time to completely refocus. So when we do come out of the other side of this, I got a whole different plan. That one that I could probably carry out for a long time.
Sure.
Probably into retirement. I'm not retiring. Who am I kidding? I'm going to be playing on some beach and I'm going to die and someone's just going to push me into the ocean. Just roll them into the ocean. Let the
That's
fish
a hell of a
eat
way to die, though, man. On an island somewhere playing at a tiki. That's like my dream, though. Like I told my wife, I'm like, I want to own a tiki bar.
Yeah.
Like on an island somewhere. I said, we'll take turns bartending and stuff, and then I'll play like an hour or two here and there.
I've already got the plan. I got a buddy of mine he's an orthodontist in Los Angeles, and I met him because his wife is Zakk Wylde's niece, and I met them years ago when we were touring Black Label, and we just became really great friends. And he's done very well for himself with the orthodontist thing. So he's like, dude, I got money stacked away, man. He goes, when this is all said and done, our kids are growing up, we're going to start a tiki bar. And we're called the Grub and Groove. And he goes, I'm going to make the food.
Grub and Groove. Oh, that's so awesome.
And he goes, my wife will bartend. And he goes, you'll just be the entertainment every day. And he goes, we just live in some island place and just live there.
Sign me up, man.
So you and I are on the same page.
Same page.
Like, when my daughter's growing up, it's either that or I'm just going to start playing those. I have networks to be able to play piano bars around the world, but I just don't do it. But I go, then I'll just travel the world.
Yeah.
Or just get a big RV and just go where I want.
Right.
You know? I'm excited.
I hear you about
because
the RV.
On the other side of this, if we can keep the venues open and we keep the restaurants open, my heart. We're getting hit hard, but the restaurants are getting hit just as hard.
Oh yeah.
Like you can go into Wegmans and mill around with 40 or 50 people in front of the tomatoes, but we can't. You can't sit down. I don't get it.
You can't have funerals. You can't bury your loved ones.
Right. I missed out on tons of funerals. Unfortunately, a lot of people passed this year, and So, but I think if we get to the other side of this, I think if the government gets their head out of their ass and does another stimulus package and really focuses on the businesses that need it,
right?
That when we come out of this, there's this whole hybrid model for musicians and venues.
Yeah.
All together. I've had a lot of conversations with Tim Moyer about dude.
There it is. We didn't even have to say it today. I love it.
A lot of conversations. Tim and I have a lot of conversations about what we see on the other side of this. My accountant and I have come up with a couple of things. I don't want to give it away. I'm not that I would, but I'm like, imagine you want Aaron Lewis to play your bar, but you can't afford Aaron Lewis to come play your bar. But what if you got this giant screen TV and you can hire Aaron Lewis for a half hour?
Yeah.
You charge ticket price, all that stuff. Now all of a sudden, I want to get I want to play a gig in Baltimore, Maryland, but it's costing me too much. So all of a sudden, you can virtually book any musician at any bar, anywhere.
Right.
Now you're not going to lose the seating.
Sure.
You can cast it through the whole thing. You can go up and interact with the musician on a TV or on your phones, all these things. There's a hybrid that comes out of this. Or a venue like Red Rocks. Hey, we're sold out. No, you're not. You can sell 1 million. You can sell as many virtual tickets to the show as possible.
Yep.
Now the venue makes more money. The band makes more money. The promoter makes more money. But we got to get to the other side.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's the biggest
Without
thing,
everybody
too, yeah.
falling apart and going to work at Home Depot and Wegmans because they're the only places you can get a freaking job anymore.
Right.
That's the truth.
Moyer is checking in right now, the unofficial sponsor of Local Music Monday, and he's saying virtual is definitely here to stay.
Yeah.
And shout out to everybody that's actually chiming in right now. There has been a few people chiming in, so we're going to say what's up to Frank Trotta. What's up, cuz? Good to hear from you. Brian Cornish is saying Joe drove.
Brian.
You're not calling for a runner these days? Big shout out to Brian, man.
Big shout out to
Hope
Brian.
you're doing well,
Yeah,
brother.
buddy.
Vicky Saunders is saying about time for upstate New York music recognition. Probably talking about the Bills game last night.
Yeah.
Super huge, though. It
Yeah.
was great. Good to see well represented throughout the whole state, pretty much. If you think about it, Wild Adriatic from Albany, Mo from here, you from Syracuse, and
Honor Bright
from Ithaca, right?
And on top of that, the Bills won. So I mean,
And the Bills won. They played good
they
yesterday.
did.
Yeah, it was cool. I really love to find out. I think Ulf, who is a professor up at the Bandier program up at SU, and I'm like, dude, you got to find out how that happened because he's got connects to all that. Like students of his have all gone to work. I'm like, find out how that happened. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then we could
for
all
sure.
get together with our $20 checks and buy each other drinks. You know?
Are you seeing this? This comment just came up from Carla. It says, "Hey Joe, it's December. Buy a sweater."
He's got a sweater on underneath.
It
though,
does.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, he's
I'm warm. I run hot all the time.
Yeah, me too, man. Eddie's checking in. Eddie Alsheimer saying what's good.
Eddie.
Josie, everybody. Shout out to EJA Moving Services.
They're he's my sponsor on Monday nights.
Monday nights.
Yeah, Monday nights. Every Monday nights.
That's awesome.
He moved me back in during the pandemic. Dude, they kicked it.
Yeah.
They kicked ass.
Yeah, for sure.
It was like I didn't touch nothing. I came in the house. They put everything everywhere. Because I had them. I had my audio video guy come over and install my TV, and I had my guy building my bar in my studio all at once. Like everything was happening. It was like a freaking flip this house like in 24 hours show happening because I had to like stream like the next day. I took one day off. I'm like, I gotta have this house done.
Wow.
And those guys kicked ass for
And
him, right?
EJA kicked ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
When this all gets back into normal gear and bands start hitting the road, they'd be perfect roadies for a band.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, those,
Right? Wouldn't
yeah.
they?
Definitely.
Could definitely see them guys going on the road.
You know, it's
with
funny.
somebody.
It's funny you say that because I just had a conversation with somebody about roadies. They're like, you guys, you've been doing this for a long time, and how come you're still tearing down your own stuff? I mean, don't you have roadies and stuff? I'm like, well, let me tell you something, okay? It's not gone are the days when you get 18-year-old kids looking for a summer job. They're like taking $20 a gig. You know,
Right.
give me $20, I'll load everything. You know what I mean? And now they want disability. They want union dues. They want this. They want
Yeah.
vacation time. I'm like, by the time it's done and over with, they'll be making more money than me.
Right,
So,
right, and that's the thing because I got my business. I know I'm an LLC, and my accountant keeps me on the up and up and all that stuff. Like she's like, you'd have to be careful with that shit. Like, get somebody moving that, and then so I got liability insurance just in case somebody like breaks their foot on my gear and stuff like that. You know?
that's important to have, though. It really is because.
Well, how many gigs that you got, like wedding gigs, you can't even walk through the door until you show them your insurance.
Sure.
You know, like Turning Stone, I can't step on premise until I show them my updated liability insurance for weddings.
Crazy.
I mean,
Speaking
it's like $10 a month, but
Sure.
Mike Tiley saying weddings, yuck, set up the PA in the morning before the ceremony, reception hours later, then tear down once all the drunk people go home.
Yeah.
That pretty much sums it up. Right?
Yeah.
There's such a target on your head, especially when you're one guy. It's just like
Definitely.
that dude.
Yeah.
Here comes crazy.
Oh yeah,
Johnny.
my favorite weddings too were the ones where
Crazy Johnny.
Yeah. You get to the wedding and all of a sudden the wedding party shows up and they're like in their 20s or whatever. It's their first wedding, and the groom, all the groomsmen, they're all wasted, just wasted.
Yeah.
And quick story: we played up in Old Forge. We played a wedding, and this woman had like all these props for her photo booth.
I can already see where this is going.
The end of the night comes, and they asked the band to play an encore and whatever. We're like, sure or whatever. So we go to play a song, and they grab all these props from the photo booth lady, and they're all up there like this, right? Gets to the end of the song, and the groom takes this plastic guitar and just smashes it on the ground, like Jimi Hendrix. You know what I mean? And why this woman brought this guitar is beyond me, but it was something that she gave her son when he was a kid, and like the guy broke it, and I'm like, oh my God. I mean, but that's classic, like, young kid wedding, let's get wasted and, know.
That's why I told my wedding partner, I go, from now on, I'm cocktail hour and I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't keep me around to play slow dances. Like, I'm done.
Done. Yeah.
If you can take the extra money or whatever, I'm leaving. I can't deal with drunk people anymore. I can't. I don't have the tolerance anymore. I don't even find it amusing.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, was I like this?
At one time, we all were.
We all were, yeah.
That's why I stopped playing Coleman's in Syracuse. I could not deal with. I used to play Coleman's in the corner, and I would instead of them moving all the tables, I would build a barricade of tables around me so you couldn't get to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They'd still get to you, though, huh?
They would have to crawl under the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've taken people's drinks out of their hand because they come up and they're leaning over my thing, and I'm like, whew.
Yep.
What'd you do that for? I'm like, dude, this is my fucking gear, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Play Wagon Wheel. I'm like, I just played it. Play it again.
Yeah. Play it again. Yeah.
No.
Man, you're a dick.
You're a dick. You're a dick. And then I talk over the microphone. I keep having the conversation over the microphone.
Yeah.
And then just make him like, dude, I'm going to win. I have the microphone.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to win.
Yeah,
I'm a ball buster. I'm going to win.
I used to do stuff like, no, dude, no, I do not want to go on a date with you. Absolutely not. No, I'm straight, man. I'm nothing against you or anything. You know
what I'm going to like when this peels back? No one's gonna ever ask to sing with me again. Like, dude, it's fucking Corona. Like, can't
right.
share a microphone.
Good point.
Because before, come on, man, I'm a really good singer.
Oh yeah,
I'm a really good singer. I tried out for blah blah blah, or I was in a band, or hey, my buddy over there was in a band. I'm like, cool. Then your buddy should try to book a gig here. If he's good, then he could get a gig at this place.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind,
these
are funny stories about certain individuals that it's very rare that happens. I mean, for the most part, you get everybody's having fun and having a good time. So this is, I don't want anybody to think that this is, we're talking about everybody in a bar, because it's, that's the next thing we'll have to deal with. Don't go see Joe play. He thinks that everybody sucks and builds barricades around him when he plays. You know what I mean?
No, I don't care if they.
You know what I mean, though. But it's.
Besides that, is there anything else you'd like to see stick around after COVID's done?
10 o'clock end time.
10 o'clock. Yeah, 10 o'clock. I was moving that for years.
Oh,
I
sure,
started moving that, and more, because our crowd. Nobody wants to be out till 2 in the morning. I don't want to be out till 2 in the morning anymore.
Right.
Definitely not.
Do
like
20-year-olds even want to be out till 2 in the morning?
I don't know. Yeah.
It changes, man. There's a few bars that I was playing at, and you get down to 11 or 12. They could not wait to get over to the jukebox and start playing their music, which is fine. I get it, but it's just like, they couldn't wait for me to be done. Like, I like that 6 to 9, the 5 to 8, the 7 to 10.
I love Sundays 2 to 6.
Yeah.
I love Sunday gigs, like Sunday Fun Day. You know what I mean? It's like that. It's so, especially in the summer too. 2 to 6 in the summer is just so cool. But it's the 10 o'clock thing is good, because I feel like people don't have a chance to get to that point you're talking about at Coleman's. You know what I mean? It's like but a few years down the road, if they kept it at 10 o'clock, a few years down the road, people will start getting drunk earlier, and then it'll be back to the same thing. Anyway,
well, a lot of people do that anyways, because there's a lot of breweries and wineries that I play down in the Finger Lakes that do just stuff in the afternoons because they're shut down at 7, 8 o'clock. Yeah. So they do their stuff on Fridays and Saturdays and the weekends.
Yeah. I mean, there's that band in Syracuse, Hard Promises. They refuse to play any gigs after 10 o'clock.
They pretty much started that whole trend.
Yeah.
When they were still Kane.
Yep.
And they started doing the happy hour gigs and packing places.
Oh my God! Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen their whole thing?
Yeah.
Hey, Frank. Hey. It's the Frank Donato moment, ladies and gentlemen. How are you?
Like somebody came in and had the key.
Yeah, no, right?
He's the landlord.
Well, there was someone at the door, and no one was like, I didn't even let him in. So. But yeah, so I.
Owning the building.
Yeah.
Right.
We did have somebody knocking on the door a little while ago.
Yeah.
That wasn't you.
But when they trend that way, and the people that are really into live music are getting older. I don't think the
Right.
20-somethings are really into live music. You got to remember, most of them grew up on EDM and DJs and a totally different style of music. So the crowd that wants music are older, and they want to be home by 10 o'clock too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I think that was trending already, and I think this is just going to make it even better.
Yeah.
Which is great for us. You know,
Well, we talked about that last. I don't know how old are you?
46.
46. Okay, so this is maybe after, like, when I was in. Well, you were already playing by then, but when I was like 18, 19, like that, I actually had a gig bouncing at a bar on Wednesdays, which was like, techno night or whatever, so like that techno EDM stuff had just started hitting. And our gigs, we actually had like the least amount of gigs we ever had was like 2000, 2001, like stuff like that. It was like, just because all these bars wanted to book DJs. They all wanted EDM. They all wanted all that stuff because it was just getting hot. And nobody wanted, nobody our age wanted to listen to live music. I mean, grunge had just ended, not just ended, but, kind of morphed into whatever it morphed into. But
everything had changed, but
It was watered down.
But those people are all my age now, in their 30s, and they're still into that kind of music.
Well, and a lot of people are homeowners. They've built like bars or like out back, or they've got the whole thing, and I see a lot more private parties happening.
Yeah.
That was a big thing I played this summer. I played a few parties and stuff like that. So I think you're going to see more of that. People just invested a lot of money in their homes this year to make a little bit more of a palace. So you're us musicians are going to start seeing more and more private gigs.
Yeah, which
I'm already looking at next year. But I told everybody, I'm like, why are we? I'm not booking any. If I'm booking like a month out.
Right.
Which is nice. So now I don't got to sit there and I got to book my whole
Instead
year
of
up.
6 months. Yeah.
And now I can't. Now I can literally like, hey, are you available this weekend? Yep. And then I go play the gig.
Right.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I kind of like the ability to be able to play a show, and if not, and if the gig falls through, I'm just like, well, screw it. I'll just go live on Twitch.
Right.
And play for a little while.
It's a great option you got there. Yeah.
And now, like before, it's like, man, the weather's crap. I'm going to lose my gigs because the weather's crap. Now everyone's home. Now everyone's in front of their computer, so now you can just gig.
Yeah.
It's the perfect time.
You talk about going home and being home in 15 minutes, walking through your door. I just stand up and go sit on my couch like 2 seconds later. It's great, But I do want that balance because I'm talking to a camera, and I've played I've played a handful of those live gigs, and it's been nice. I find myself playing different songs live now. I don't know, it's different playing live now, and I like it because before I just like, man, I know 3,000 plus songs,
sure,
but I'm playing 100. Because of the same fucking songs.
Play Piano Man.
Right.
On Twitch, it's $100.
Yeah.
I will not play Piano Man. That's for $100. Don't Stop Believing's 50. So is Wagon Wheel, and $25 for Margaritaville and something else.
Yeah.
$2,500 for Freebird.
What about Tiny Dancer? Is Tiny Dancer on that list?
No.
Still one of your
You'd be
favorites?
surprised though. Like the people on Twitch, there's nights that like I don't play. I'm not playing any of those songs I'm playing in the bar because they get in there. You have the ability to go inside my song list, and then click it, and then put the donation next to it, and it's $2 minimum donation to get a song in the queue. But then when you get it in the queue, if you want your song played sooner, it's like a jukebox. You pay extra money.
Yeah.
Your song will. I have a bot that will literally just boom, 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 or I have moderators that'll bump it. Somebody come in like, I want to hear that song next and drop $40, and they want their song next because the queue's like 10.
Wow.
So, but these people are on there like true music lovers, and they're making me play shit. Like, I'm like, when is the last time I played this song? And I gotta go kind of listen. I'm like, oh yeah, that's how the verse starts, and I gotta remember how the bridge goes. Or
do you do
something
that while you're live?
Yeah.
Like while you're live, you just go, hang on a second, and then you listen to it.
Yeah,
quick?
I just put my headphones on.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then just quick listen to it, and everyone keep kind of talk. Or I do a thing called a live learn. If I don't know it, $25, I'll learn the song on the spot.
Yeah, that was something I was thinking about because I mean I'm lucky. I consider myself lucky. I have that ability, like for most songs.
Not a lot of musicians even have that ability because I watch a lot of people do it on Twitch, and some of them have cheaper live learns. But then again, they only have like a 200 or 300 song thing. So like for you to stump me and find something like. You got to pay for it because there's times that they'll come up. The only thing that'll keep me from doing a live learn is if I can't find the lyrics. Right. Most of the time I can find the chords or I can figure the chords out enough. Yeah. But I go, you can't find the lyrics. I go, we got to save it for another day because I would literally have to write down the lyrics.
Right.
There's been twice that's happened.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, I've done it, and I've got people like the other night. Someone had me do Rapper's Delight.
No, that's awesome.
I got this one guy that's like, he's into R&B, and he's like, dude, you're an R&B singer, and I know you are. And he's like, every week he's dropping 2 or 3 live learns on me and making me learn music that I've never listened to.
Right.
Then I'm like, it's opened my mind. Like, oh my God, who's this artist?
Yeah, yeah.
So the people on Twitch are so different than what a bar crowd is, and they want to hear the same stuff. Like, this is expanding my musical ability, and they're going deep into my catalog because you can see how many times a song has been played. And the next thing you know, they're going, oh my God, he's never played this song by Billy Joel, like a deep cut. Like if tomorrow was today, like someone asked for that the other day. I'm like, or there's songs that I learned and just have never played because no one's asked for them. So, and then there's nights like I'll play Pantera and then Barry Manilow, and then, you know, like the queue is all over. And that's what's made my Twitch, because nobody on Twitch has a song list as big as mine. The next closest person has 1,100 or 1,300 songs.
Yeah.
I got almost 3,500. And most people land, the average musician's about 200 to 400. So I'm exponentially larger than anybody else. So it makes my niche like so much bigger. And these people are just adding songs every week. You know,
and then as soon as you play it, then you pop it right into your song list.
And then I
good to go.
do it, and the next thing you know, I put it in the song list. So then, so that person will pay that $125 that one time. Now it's in the queue, so now you can do it. And every once in a while, like I'll learn it and not play it again. So there'll be a few more times I got to put the headphones. Oh yeah, that's right. That's how it goes. But no one's busting my balls. Okay, you learn it. Like, it's fun. Before, I would play the music while I was learning it so they could hear it. But there's the whole DMCA started cracking down on Twitch, Digital Music Copyrights Act. And they're really cracking down on pre-recorded music being used on that because, you know, it's like you got to pay the royalties. It's being worked out between the publishing companies and stuff like that. So now I just listen to it on there. On my headphones, but it's people are fascinated to watch a musician be able, like, how did he just do that, you know? So
they're making you work.
What are the chances of you taking? This is an idea I had too. So like you're doing a live learn, right?
Yeah.
And you put your headphones on. So what are the chances of you taking like your album or Brand New Sin and pumping that through for people to listen to while you're live learning a song?
We can do that, but here's the thing. Then I have this all registered, and I can still play that, but I'm still going to get flagged for my own music because
that's crazy.
There's no way for algorithms or anything to decipher. Like, oh, well, no, this is the guy.
Sure.
This is the guy because there's no one sitting there watching that.
Right.
So I'll get,
for
I'll
a
get
computer program, though, there should be something where we as artists can go in and say, you know, like. They can make a separate algorithm for us because we own the music.
Right. They're trying to figure that out because they were working on stuff like that prior to this.
Yeah.
But with COVID and everything shutting down, like, it's made all these things come to the forefront. So they have to, like, legislation has to happen, technology has to happen, and it's forcing it to happen a lot quicker. Because I've talked to people within the circles of Twitch that are on the tech end, and they're like, yeah, they're working on it. It's just all of a sudden, we've had to exponentially go a lot faster to figure these things out because someone's like, you're not going to play a Brand New Sin song like while you're doing it? I'm like, no, because I'm going to get flagged.
Right.
And then here's the thing. What I was told is that, like, you can play anything you want. You can cover, you can do anything. You're covered by that. But as soon as you play the tracks of the actual artist, then it becomes an issue. But if you're doing it live, it's fine. It becomes a recorded piece of material when it becomes a VOD. When it comes, because all my streams will stay up for, I can keep 60 days worth of streams up. So you can go back and watch my other streams. But once it's not a live performance and it becomes a recorded performance, then the law changes.
Really?
Wow.
So I would be able to do that live, but then I would have to rip down my VOD and no one would be able to see it like 2 or 3 days later.
Gotcha.
So like some fans want to see that.
Yeah.
Once you do that, then you're in the area that you're violating the DMCA.
And then it's another whole rabbit hole you got to go through.
I mean, YouTube had that problem. If you remember a few years ago, YouTube was like, oh, YouTube's going to get rid of all the music and stuff like that. It's because they were trying to strike a deal with all the publishing companies, you know, whether it's Warner Chappell or, you know, all these giant publishing companies started squeezing all the tech companies, being like, you got to start paying this. And that's why, like, you can put anything up. I can put a cover up on YouTube and immediately it'll be like copyright taken. So that means I will never see any ad revenue from it.
Right.
Fine. So any ad revenue comes in there, they take that ad revenue and then they pay out to the rights holders, the songwriters, the publishing companies, the record labels, and everything else. So Facebook's kind of still trying to figure that out, and Amazon is, because Amazon owns Twitch.
Right.
They're trying to figure it out, and I don't see it not working out because Twitch is blown up, and Amazon is the richest company in the freaking world.
Yeah.
So they're gonna strike some deal. It's just gonna take some time.
And now Facebook's trying to do something along the lines of Twitch now, right?
They are, and it's still, again, it goes back to the whole thing. Once you're done being live, then it becomes a recorded piece of material. Then it lands into that gray area, and then they could have that problem. They were never going to do October 1st they're going to do this. No. They were never going to do that.
That was already there. That
it's always been there. That's why I kept telling everybody. I go, dude, you're just, someone finally read the fine print.
Well, what they did was they updated their terms and conditions and they released it to everybody. And somebody happened to read that one line and said, "Oh, they're taking everything away." But it was always there.
It's always there. Like I talked to someone, I'm like, dude, it's always been there.
Yeah, I'm like, I just went live. Like when it happened, I just went live after the date that they said they were changing the terms and conditions. I never got taken down, so.
There was only one instance, and it was about 4 years ago. I covered an Eagles song at a Witchy Woman, and I got flagged, and I got my account got suspended for a week.
Oh, wow.
Like, not even one
there's
strike.
certain artists that you...
Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles
you will not see me cover many Eagles songs on Facebook. Van Morrison, too. Prince was in that same league. It was like those three because they have tons of money, and they're paying lawyers to sit there. So... When I got, I'm like, I can't get a hold of anybody at Facebook. How do I reactivate my account?
Yeah.
And then finally it was like, email so-and-so at Warner Chappell. And I looked up the name. I'm like, this is the guy that owns Warner Brothers Music. He's not going to answer my email. And somebody hit me up. They're like, no, email him. You'll resolve it. And I emailed it on Sunday night, and someone got back to me right away. Yeah, this is what it was. I'm like, listen, I wasn't aware of it. And they're like, no, you're a small piece in a very large legal battle that's going on right now. They kind of explained it. And I'm like, so how do I get around this? He goes, just rip down all your videos.
All your Eagle videos?
All of them.
He's saying rip. So I did. I ripped them all down. I ripped them all down. So then I stopped doing that for a while. But then they kind of came up with some kind of deal where you can do it now. But I still kind of shy away from certain artists.
Yeah.
And if you do it, don't put that you're covering Van Morrison, the Eagles in the title, because that's how they're going to find it. They're not going to sit there and listen to it.
Yeah.
But if you put it, hey, Eagles cover, that'll come up in an algorithm real quick, and they'll get notified.
Right.
There's law firms that are just sitting around out there waiting for a copyright strike to come up.
The thing I think I'm afraid of the most is, like, with this whole pandemic and everybody going live and going to Twitch and everything like that. Like, I'm nervous about them doing something where it's going to end up costing us money to do that.
No, that's a very real possibility. And I kept telling people for years, because basically what you and I are supposed to do at the end of every gig that we play, we're supposed to submit the songs that we played. Because the reason, BMI's, ASCAP, CSAC, wherever. That's your job to figure out what artists you played and what their freaking publishing is. The reason why you always hear every year, like, oh, ASCAP, I can't do music anymore because ASCAP's squeezing me for like $5,000 for my bar to have music. But they don't explain to them, like, well, why? Well, you have cover bands. Yeah, but why?
Right.
Basically, what ASCAP and all those companies are supposed to do is that you and I are supposed to submit our set list at the end of the night. And then they go on there and they're like, oh, you play Motley Crue, you pay Jimmy Buffett, all that stuff. And then they take that money that they've pulled from, the electric company's ASCAP thing, and then that's how they pay out the artist that you're played, and then that covers us. But they don't tell anybody that.
No.
ASCAP and BMI don't do that. That's a way for them to just take money from it. It's a freaking extortion thing. It's bullshit.
I say it's like the
and I mean, I'm happy that I'm protected, but at the same time, I'm also like I ride both sides, and they don't do that. Where I think is now they have the technology, and all of us have a little thing. You can have an iPad or something like that, a database that like you just keep putting in what you played that night. And then the bars every year be like, well, you had X amount of music. They can come up with an actual real price of what it would cost. Right. Or why don't you guys make us members of some kind of, organization, and all of us pay a membership, and it freaking covers our ass. I wouldn't mind paying a couple $100 a year to make sure that I'm covered in any situation that I got.
Right. especially on the dates. I mean, I know you've lost dates over the years where bars have been like, "Sorry, I can't have you play tonight. You know, we just got fined $10,000 by BMI and ASCAP, and we're not having live music for the foreseeable future." And you're like, well, "Wait a minute, I came to play a gig tonight. You know, tonight,
right.
I'm here to play a gig." And they're like, "Well, sorry about it." You know, I mean, it'd be nice if we were a member of an organization like that where we could say, "Oh no, we're cleared, we're good, we can play your bar."
Absolutely,
we do this.
Absolutely, but and here's the other thing. And then the other bars are like, "Yeah, well, we're going to get around that by just having original music." I'm like, yeah, but my original music is covered by that.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. You're not circumnavigating shit.
Yeah.
Because most artists are going to be, registered with one of these companies. It's the same thing whether you're playing a Slipknot song or you're playing a freaking Just Joe song. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And it's what they don't get around. It's like, man, if they came up with some kind of better system, and there's these apps that are coming out, and I was trying to develop this app before it happened. Before COVID happened, I was about ready to drop a lot of money. Basically, you can go into a bar now and do, the jukebox is over on the wall. You don't even have to go to the jukebox anymore. You can do everything from your phone. Now, what if you did that with musicians?
Yeah.
Okay. And now you go on there and there's a database. You register yourself like, oh my God, where's music tonight? Oh my God, because now you're like, well, I'll use all the jukeboxes in there. All right, well, here's all the musicians in this area. And then you get there and you click on that and that opens up their song list. And then you can freaking sit at your chair, send the guy, the musician, a request. It comes up on their app, and then you can tip them, send them a message like, hey, can you say happy birthday to Katie? Sing this song. And you do that. Now, there's a way for BMI and ASCAP to freaking partner with this app and be able to go inside of there and be like, dude, this is what the guy freaking played that night.
Yeah.
There's the technology is there. It's just a matter of someone putting it all together. And then it all saves our ass. And like I said, I'd be willing to pay some kind of membership fee every year to be able to do that. And all you got to do is just enter your shit into your app and it saves your ass. But then as I'm playing my original music, I'm going to get paid for playing my own originals in my bar. Because anytime we went on the road with Brand New Sin, we had a manager who was like, give me your set list for the tour. And then our BMI payments, like a year later, we would see, us getting paid by these venues that we played at around the country because they're playing all these things, especially when you're playing Live Nation venues. They, I'd sometimes get 20, 30 extra bucks for each night of that tour.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I got a BMI check for like $3,000 because I was just playing the songs that I wrote.
Right. That's
so
beautiful.
There's a lot of things, but it's just like, I don't know how to fix it all. But I mean, to me, all the pieces are there. Someone's just got to freaking put it together. But then you start talking about big corporations, there's money and there's lawyers and freaking red tape that goes for days.
Yeah. You put a lot of things into perspective as far as the music licensing goes.
Yeah.
Because these are questions we've been asking for a while now, especially with this whole live streaming thing. It brings up a lot of gray area. Like there's so much uncertainty now that people don't know. Like, am I going to get fined for playing this? Or a lot of people have backed off from playing on Facebook because of these situations. And so, but yeah, you did put a lot of things.
Well, I mean, that's in the gist of it. Without getting in deeper, that's really what it's about.
Yeah.
And at least what I've learned, and I knew this years prior because I had to deal. Like I said, I had to deal with it from getting banned from Facebook. But that guy reinstated my Facebook because if you get banned from Facebook, there's no phone number to call Facebook. There's no
talk to an operator.
There's nobody. There's not even a freaking email.
Right.
The closest thing you have is like
click here for help.
Yeah, well, no, if you got a business account like the D page or Showtime page, Just Show page, and you're doing ad reviews. You're like, hey, I want to boost this post. And sometimes they'll deny it, and they're like, well, they'll say why, and then you can write a rebuttal, be like, well, this is what I'm doing, and then most of the time because a lot of times a bot will do that, and then you can actually talk to a person.
Yeah.
But that's the only way you can get into Facebook. Isn't that crazy? Like what company doesn't have an 800 number? Facebook doesn't have an 800.
They don't. Nope.
So I had to go through that, and that's how I circumnavigated, and I learned a lot from that situation. And I told people, I go, that's what it is. And that's why, like, even if you're at a wedding, sometimes you can go in live, hey, we're all dancing, and the music in the background, and all of a sudden you're muted.
Yeah.
You're like, I can't hear anything. It's well because music is going on.
Yeah.
My buddy Chuck, who owned River Rock, you should have him on here just to talk about that situation.
Yeah.
Basically, what it came down to, I'm paraphrasing or like just trying to figure out exactly how he explained it, how he did it, is that he's like, I'm having music, but yet I got 7 TVs on in here that are playing music and freaking commercials and everything else, and you're not busting my balls about that.
Right.
I can broadcast a concert in here, like the Grammy Awards. You're not going to bust my balls about that. That's why the jukeboxes all went away with the CDs in them.
Yeah, right.
Because now they can have the database. They can track everything.
Yeah.
that was why so you did it with the jukeboxes. Why can't you do it with musicians?
Yeah.
You can do it with people. We have the technology. It's fucking 2021 almost, for Christ's sakes. So
It'll be here as soon as you know it, too.
couple weeks.
A couple weeks. Dudley's saying he misses us. Dudley, good to hear from you. Dudley. Also, Brian Cornish is saying on the other side of this, only play joints with no wagon wheel policies.
I love it.
I used to put up a sign saying what songs I wouldn't play. And the main thing was no Dave Matthews. Like, I don't play Dave Matthews.
Right. But you did recently, didn't you?
I wish I could put that sign up.
Well, and everyone, it's always the thing, like, why don't you play Dave Matthews? I go, first of all, like, his voice, I can't. His band is amazing. Listen, I have the utmost respect for Dave Matthews, one, as a musician, and second of all, as a businessman. Because I don't think people realize, like, the dude did it on its own terms, turning down record deals, being like, I don't need you. I'm selling out theaters on my own around the Mid-Atlantic. Fuck you, you know? But when he got big is when I was in college. Yeah. And between that and Rusted Root, I could go the rest of my life without ever hearing a Dave Matthews or Rusted Root song.
Hootie and the Blowfish.
They would get to the friggin' bar, and everyone that's all you heard all night.
All night long.
And then it became a joke, like, I can't stay in Dave Matthews. But then I got to a point when I started playing gigs, and people come up like, hey, man, you can play Dave? I'm like, who, Dave Brubeck?
Yeah, David.
They're like, Dave. Yeah. I'm like, who the fuck's Dave? You know, like, Dave Matthews. And then I tell them, I don't play Dave Matthews. And they're like, and they get pissed off.
Really pissed.
That's the only fan base that just will get pissed off if someone said, I'm like, man, I don't know any Motley Crue. They'd be like, oh, that's cool. What about something else? Like, Dave Matthews fans are some of the... No offense to any big Dave Matthews fans, but you know you're dicks. You're like, for the most part.
I agree.
They're like a dickish fan base. And then it became a joke. And I mean, I have played Dave Matthews songs here and there. I did it on
You did
Twitch.
it recently, didn't you?
I did it on Twitch. I did a subathon. And if I got to 500 gifted subs that night, which is, $5 sub, I go, if we got to that, I'll play a Dave Matthews song. And I did. I know a couple. I mean, I know them.
I know a few too many.
Now, you guys play a lot. That's what I was like. That's you guys.
Now, you know what? Here's the funny thing.
Is there any artist you won't play?
Nickelback.
See, everyone's great.
Won't do it. And it's not because it's the other thing again. It's the voice.
Yeah.
Chad Kroger's voice, it goes right through me. Right through me. I can't even deal with it. Never made it as a wise man. I'm like, oh God, no! Oh my God! But no, back in the day, like when Dave Matthews Band, was huge.
Like you guys are best friends.
Yeah,
Dave.
Yeah, but it's habit because I mean I was one of those kids. I was obsessed from I started listening to him before anybody in the area did. Well, I always said I'm the second Dave Matthews fan from the area because literally I kicked a tape on the ground that was it didn't have any writing on it, no nothing, and I fixed it's always got the tape out of it on the ground, and you take the pencil and you're like this. So I pop it in, I hear this really unique, at the time, a very unique voice I'd never heard before, and so I listened to it. And to the point where the magnetic strip, the whole thing just wiped out. So after a while, I couldn't listen to it anymore. And so I wake up one morning, I come downstairs, and back when MTV used to play videos, I see this song. It was "What Would You Say?" It was their first major music video, and I recognized the voice, and I'm like, "Who is this?" And it's the Dave Matthews Band, and then that's when I started listening to him. But got to the point with Showtime where we would do an entire Dave Matthews Band set to end the night. We would do 3 sets. The first
people went nuts.
First 2 were covers. Yeah. Last one, I would go in the bathroom. I put on a T-shirt, dorm pants, and Doc Martens. I had the Dave Matthews black, Chet Atkins guitar, and I used to dance like him and everything. And it got to the point where we'd have 5 or 6 people for the first 2 sets, and then 350 people would pack the bar just to hear the last set.
Right.
And it's like, this is not working. It wasn't working for the bars, wasn't working for us, and it was just and then people got mad because we stopped doing the full Dave Matthews set.
It's weird. No,
yeah.
I don't mean really bash them. You guys know the Dave Matthews Fans band. They know who they are. What kind of comes along with it. But it's I've never seen even dead fans aren't as like
No.
pissy as that, you know.
Well, it's
but I made that as a
They're a
joke
little
for
older and
years.
ornery.
But I mean,
Right.
it's to the point now where like I keep track of the times that I don't have to, and I don't play Dave Matthews songs. Like if I get to the end of the night and I haven't played a single Dave Matthews song all night, I'm like, yes.
That's like me getting a whole night without a Billy Joel and Elton John song.
Well, yeah. I mean, as soon as the piano is in front of you, you're like if you got to play it.
Guy, piano man.
Yeah. Right.
Is it a great song? It's a fucking awesome
Yeah,
song.
absolutely.
I wish I wrote it. Like, dude, when you hear Piano Man and you hear the lyrics, like you are immediately zipped into the story of that bar.
Sure,
yeah. You
sure.
can
And
smell
especially
the
if you
bar.
actually know the story behind
Right.
of why you written it, and then you really see it even more. So it's
When
like
you think about this too, I mean, like, when was the last time? Now, hear me out for a second. The last time that you actually listened to Freebird, like the recording of Freebird, front to back.
maybe once in the past year because they released a bunch of Leonard
Right.
Skinner like remasters.
Yes.
But-
I actually sat and listened to it. Like it came on the radio, and I actually just sat there and listened to it. And I'm like, what a great fucking song. You know what I mean?
It's like Stairway to Heaven.
And it's such a great fucking song. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but I fucking hate playing it. You know why? Because I mean, for 10 years, you couldn't leave the
Right.
bar without playing Freebird. We started learning.
Somebody
We
yelling
started.
it.
We started doing other like center. Like we started doing Inagata Davida by Iron Butterfly, and then we got sick of that song because everybody requested that song. It's like it's those night enders that are like we did Stairway when we first started. I mean, that was like. I never understood, too. Like, I'm 13 years old walking into a music store in New York City, and, like, a big sign that says, no Stairway to Heaven, no Dave Matthews Band, no Freebird. And it's like a big sign that says it, you know what I mean? And like, they'll throw you right out of the place. And I'm like, I never understood that. And then 15 years later, I'm like, I don't ever want to hear these songs. Play them ever again.
Or you go back and you listen to a song that you've been covering for years but haven't listened to it since like you learned it because you're playing it all the time. Like, I don't want to play this. And then you hear it and you're like, wow, I'm playing it all fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm
you
not even
develop
playing.
your own way of playing
I
it.
thought
Absolutely.
this is the way, and then you're like, I forgot about that line or the way he sings that line,
Sure.
and then you go back and you fix like those things. But
Yeah.
it's crazy. Even Tommy Shaw, I watched Tommy Shaw like do some Facebook Live thing one time, and he was talking about how they were going back and getting ready to like do Pieces of Eight or Cornerstone. They were doing one of those in its entirety, and he goes, we went back and listened to the album, and he goes, we've been playing, Angry Young Man for so long. He goes, I hadn't listened to the recording in so long. And I went back and listened to it. And he goes, I forgot how far away we've gotten from where it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
And he goes, if we're going to do it in its entirety, we had to go back and like teach ourselves our own song because we had gotten so far away from what it originally sounded
Do you
like.
think that Tommy Shaw is human?
No. How does he still sing in
That's
that?
my question. Because like if I'm 70-something years old and I can still sing,
He's 68. We looked it up.
68?
My buddy and I were talking about it the other day.
Yeah.
Like, how does he, one, not age, and second of all, how does he still sing everything in the original key?
yeah, everything. He doesn't drop the key at anything.
Same with Glenn Hughes.
Yeah, Glenn Hughes is another one. Oh, when he did that thing with Black Country Community with Joe Bonamassa and Derek Sherinian and Jason Bonham, it blew me away. That whole project
He's in a band
blew me
called.
away.
He's in a band. Well, he just joined the Dead Daisies, which is like.
Yeah.
Dead Daisies, real quick, is the guy that owns the band is this billionaire from Australia.
Yeah.
His family are like billionaires. I can't remember what is it. I don't know if it's the aviation industry or something like that. So he's a guitar player. So he has this project called the Dead Daisies, and like every 2 or 3 records, he flips band members and he hires like the best guys.
Wow.
Like right now, he's got Dean Casanova on drums, Glenn Hughes singing and playing bass, and Doug Aldrich. Is it Doug Aldrich? Yeah, Doug Aldrich on guitar. Wow. And before he was having like it's like all these like the last couple records was John Corabi on there. He had on bass he had Marco Mendoza. He just brings in these guys and he pays them a salary because I know John Corabi like through the networks and shit like that. And John's like, dude, the dude was paying me like,
dear God,
no doubt.
just a retainer.
When D. Casanova got out of jail and he put together he did this thing where it was like a show that wasn't advertised. It was like an underground show or whatever. And it's like he puts this cover band together and they're doing Journey songs, and like he sounds like Steve Perry when he sings.
Oh yeah.
Dean
Well, they did
Casanova.
that thing about a year ago called Journey Through Time.
Yeah, with Neil Sean and Greg Raleigh came back and played. Oh my God, dude, that was insane.
And I'm like, dude,
Dean sang every song.
He sang all of them, and he
sounded just
great.
like Steve Perry. And I'm like, why didn't they do this from the beginning, man?
Well, they did. If you went and saw Journey, even with Steve Algeri before they got the other guys.
Darnell, yeah.
He would do Mother, Father.
Mother, Father, yeah.
And Still They Ride.
Oh, Still They Ride. That's right. I forgot he did that one. Yeah.
He would do those live. And there's a show that you can see, like, it was the very last show that Steve Altier played, and his voice blew out. You literally watch a show, and he turns around to Dean like that, and Dean sang the whole show.
Yeah, sang the whole show.
It's on YouTube. And then because you cannot sing Steve Perry. That's one guy. Like, whoever sings that, your career is going to be short, and you can't sing.
Look at Arnell. They've dropped the key
already
a whole step from the original, a whole step down from the original since he's been in the band. I mean, he's been in the band for what, 10 years now? Easily 10 years. I mean, you figure he's been singing, and like,
and he wasn't young. Like, he was 40 something when he got him.
Was,
He's already singing those songs in Philippines.
He looks like he's 13,
right,
but
he's Filipino.
But like a guy like Dean, though, there's a difference. Like we talked about this before, like the whole. Some people call it middle voice, some people call it half voice. You know, like there's that voice that if you have it, like you could sing octaves higher than
But if you hear his talking voice, he sounds like he's like, how does this guy even barely talk? He sounds rough on it. But I tell people, I go, your singing voice, where you're hitting your vocal cords and your muscles are completely different than when you sing. That's why some people are like, wow, that's not what I expected to come out of your mouth.
People say that to me all the time. I sing in the band. I sing like if there's super high parts, I sing those. Because I got my half voice, and then like we do.
The low
call
stuff.
me Al by Paul Simon. If you'll be my bodyguard.
You do that.
I do all that low shit too. So it's like I go back and forth, but like you said, it's the muscle. Like it's different. Like when you when I'm talking, you would never. I mean, I used to fuck around and sing "Crazy on You" by heart, just goofing around. You know what I mean?
I just watched. On HBO, they just released the Bee Gees documentary.
I gotta see that.
Yeah, I want to see that too. Yeah,
watch it tonight.
Yeah,
but here's a perfect example of half voice right there.
Yeah. That voice, he invented that voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, they talk about the recordings of that record because their career was dead. They were dead in the water, after they had all that success from the 60s and 70s. Like, you didn't know that. And first of all, and second of all, I don't think people realize the impact of that. The Bee Gees are right up there with the Stones and the Beatles and everything.
For sure.
Like, dude. But there was some kind of, I can't remember what song it was, and the producer, they were working with the guy from Atlantic, the big producer from Atlantic, Ari. Whatever. Dude, guy produced everybody.
Yeah.
And he's like, go in there and give me the shouty type of thing. And Barry just did this thing, and he's like, wait, what was that? And he'd say, They said that whole thing. Yeah. And they're like, we're onto something. And that voice and the way they went, that took them to the freaking stratosphere. To this day.
I have to watch that.
You gotta watch it.
They
It's so
just
good.
released it, right?
It's Saturday. Like, I was watching it, and then I forgot about it until yesterday. And Stacy Waterman hit me up. She's like, "Did you watch it?" I'm like, "Shit!" And then, as soon as my daughter went home last night, I took her back to her mom's, and I went home and watched the Bee Gees documentary.
Wow.
I didn't want it to end.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to end. There's a lot of tragic things. I mean, Barry's the only one left.
Yeah, true.
They're all dead.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
you forget that the youngest brother, Andy, died at 30.
He died in like the 70s, right? Late 70s? Oh, 88.
They made him an official member of the band. And then 6 weeks later, he died.
Well, he had like drug problems, though, right?
He had damaged his heart from so much cocaine.
Wow.
He literally did so much cocaine that he damaged all the valves and everything in his heart.
And he was
had
a
a heart attack.
superstar, too.
Yeah, there was a time, like they say in this documentary, they're like, the Bee Gees had 4 songs in the top 20, and Andy had 2 songs in the top. Like, they basically had the entire chart.
Wow.
So you listen to a Bee Gees song, and then there was Andy.
Yeah.
And they were managed, but I mean, they had one of the biggest managers. Robert Stigwood was like, that's the guy when Brian Epstein died, the guy that managed the Beatles, he was Epstein's side guy.
Oh, wow.
So he took everything over. So that dude had more clout than anything. That dude could make anybody and anything happen.
Nice. Well,
So
I know what
it's-
I'm doing tonight.
Yeah, dude, you got to watch it. I love
The
it.
last documentary I was like that about was the Eagles, the history of the Eagles. That was a 4-hour documentary.
I watch it 3 times a year.
Yeah, me too. I felt like it was 15 minutes long. Like literally, that's how quickly it goes by. I mean, you know you're good when your documentary starts out with the entire band singing Seven Bridges Road a cappella.
Yeah.
Let's just warm up with this. You know, it's like, oh my God.
I love new music documentaries. And I'll watch them even if I don't like the band.
Right, me too.
So I just want to know a story.
Yeah. I watched that one on I forget that alternative band, and they were talking about making the new record. And the guy's an actor. And
36 in Mars.
Yes. Yeah.
It was Artifact.
Yep.
That was fascinating
Yeah,
because
it was great.
you're literally talking about some of the stuff that we went back to. They got sued by their record label.
Yes.
For $33 million.
Yeah,
And then they countersued them, and they were fucking them.
Yeah.
And even they were getting screwed, and they have the biggest manager in the industry. They've Irving Azoff, who's like the guy. Like if you got Irving Azoff, you're set.
Yep.
You know, he managed the Eagles. He's the guy. So
yeah, that documentary was incredible.
Some shady business going on out there.
Oh yeah. Well, look what David Geffen did to Henley and all those guys.
Yeah.
You know,
they all do that. Even if you watch. You ever seen the Tom Petty documentary,
Yep.
Run Down Dream? And they even talk about the one guy that signed Petty to do that first record, the guy that produced it. And even him screwed over Tom Petty and even was like, Tom, well, you know, I just still wanted to be friends after Tom, like, sued him.
Yeah.
The guy still wanted to be friends. He goes, well, that was business. We're buddies.
Right,
And
right.
Tom's like, you're not my fucking friend.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know, you're not my friend. That's like another great documentary. That came out in like 2007 or 8. It's an older documentary.
Yeah.
But it's still great.
Oh,
That's
definitely.
another 4-hour documentary.
Yeah.
The Tom Petty
Is
one?
that the one that they had on his time with the Traveling Wilburys?
Yeah.
Because that's I want to see like a 5-hour documentary on that.
There's a
band
mini
alone.
one that just came out about the Wilburys.
About the Wilburys?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Oh, I
It's
can't
about
wait.
It's about 20 minutes, but it's a
Awesome.
lot of that footage that they use from there.
Because like Ringo had something to do with that band too in the beginning. Because I know he didn't play drums for them, but he had something to do with them. But like, because the whole project was Jeff Lynne's idea, right? It was like Jeff Lynne's baby, in a sense.
It was Jeff producing
That's
Roy
right.
Orbison.
Roy Orbison, yeah, that was right.
And then he invited like Tom Petty's like, can you come over and like, you know,
Yeah.
he just finished doing a Tom Petty record. He's like, can you come over and help us
Yeah.
write the song? And then it was like a perfect storm because then, you know,
George Harrison.
George Harrison's here and Bob Dylan's here too. It's like, all right, well, then they wrote that song for the Orbison record and it kind of didn't fit. And they're like, all right, well, let's make a freaking record. So they sit there, just wake up every day and just freaking write.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, like, Tom Petty's the youngest dude in that room.
Right.
And he's sitting there going, could you imagine just looking up and you're like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Like, how did I get here? I'm sitting next to, like, the legends.
Yeah.
That was like the time when I worked the show at the baseball stadium, and it was the show that was Willie Nelson, Mellencamp, and Dylan.
Oh God.
Right? It was Cheo's show, and I was the runner for Mellencamp that day. Boonville was the runner for Willie, and Jason Klug was the runner for John or for Dylan. And at one point, we're sitting at catering, and then me and Stacey are sitting at catering, and like Bob Dylan's sitting there, John Cougar and his wife are sitting here, and freaking Willie's sitting right there. I'm like, dude, what's going on? How do we get here? This is so crazy.
Yeah.
It was one of those. We didn't say anything to anybody. I mean, you know the protocol backstage, but still, at one point, we still fanned out for a moment.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
dude, we're in catering with these three guys.
Pinch me.
Right?
Joe, this has been awesome. I got one person has asked a question. I think I need to ask you this as well.
Okay.
Do you ever consider taking crypto for payment?
That's a funny thing because it's starting to happen on Twitch.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people are starting to take crypto.
Yeah.
And I just had a long conversation with my account the other day because I'm like, dude, I want to invest in some crypto.
Mm-hmm.
Surprised you haven't already.
If you want to stay in the up and up, and I always try to stay in the up and up with my business, musicians out there, if you're listening to me, like run your musicianship like a business. Because if anything has showed you this year, if you're doing everything, I do everything under the table and I don't pay anything for taxes and blah, blah, blah. It's like, how do you operate?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do this because like it's getting more and more microscopic that they're going to be able to see what you do.
Exactly.
How much money you freaking make. Stop doing it. Cash. You probably saw, we'll get to the crypto in a second, but you saw probably about 5 years ago, there was a time where, you know, it was about a 75-25. My gigs were 75% cash to 25% like checks.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Flipped.
the other way around.
Oh yeah.
Even with the smallest of places, because those places started getting squeezed too.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't bother me. And that was when I really started taking all my stuff seriously. So I said to my accountant about crypto, I'm like, I want to invest in some crypto, and I want to be able to start taking some payments in crypto because there's a lot of people around the world that want to tip in crypto.
Exactly.
And she's like, well, Bitcoin? I'm like, well, there's hundreds of them.
now, yeah.
But at some point in the next couple of years, cryptocurrency is like, if we're going to come close to like a one world currency, it's about to happen.
Yeah.
And it's going to be real interesting how it plays out. So she's like, listen, let me figure it out. She goes, you can set it up for payment because by the time it hits for taxes, it'll be next year. She goes, I have to figure this out because the IRS or anything like that doesn't have any tax code on like, what do you do with this crypto?
Right.
And how do you tax it and all that stuff? And
when
I don't
pull it out is when.
Well, what if someone like all of a sudden dropped me like, I don't know how the units work, but if they drop me 10,000 cryptos, like that's
ridiculous
like,
amount of money.
Yeah. But I don't know how I don't know how any of it works. So she's like, I'm going to spend some time researching this because she goes, I have to learn it because.
Well, that's the other thing too. I mean, if you treat it like a like the Dow Jones or anything like that, I mean, like, you're playing the stock market. I mean, is there when you take crypto, like let's say one Bitcoin's worth $358, so I get tipped a Bitcoin, like who do I go to get cash?
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
there's one ATM, a crypto ATM between Albany and freaking Buffalo, and it's in Syracuse.
Yeah. Well, what you want to do is just keep it and hold on to it. On your Coinbase
right.
Or
I mean,
put it on your
that's
wallet.
part of it. It's like you're using it, but at some point it's going to flip,
right?
And like these governments are going to have to figure out a way to like do something with the crypto.
Yeah.
If you just stick within the top 3 or 4 of them, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, that, if you just stick within those.
We've talked about it. My moderators and I've talked about it. We have to put that in there. Not that we're just trying to see ahead. I don't see like it happening big time now, but at some point it's gonna.
Well, it's taking off. I mean, it's hitting a whole nother wave right now. I have a bunch of crypto, and I keep it on a ledger. I don't keep it online or anything like that. But I watch and pay attention and have a little bit of my Coinbase. And where it was when I first invested, maybe 4 years ago, to where it is now, it hit like a low point, big time.
Yeah.
And then everybody just dumped their stuff, and now it's back up.
It's huge right now. And
Bitcoin's it's at like $19,000 right now for Bitcoin.
And there's something
really.
And I talked to one of my buddies, and he's like, dude, if this happens or that's happened, he follows it.
Oh, yeah, me too.
And he's like, if something happens, it's about to go through the roof, and he goes, it's going to change the economies of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow. I'm like, that's what I call my account. I'm like, we got to look in it. She goes, I agree, we got to look in it.
Yeah.
Even if you just get a little bit for right now. And that's the good thing about crypto is you don't spend without your means.
Mm-hmm.
You just keep in your budget and don't go, mortgaging off your house or anything
I watch a guy on Twitch, and he's called the Stock Jock. And that's all he does. He streams from 9 in the morning until the stock market closes. Mm-hmm. And he's literally sitting there. He can't give stock advice. Like, it's weird because there's a whole lot of regulations when it comes to stocks. Yeah. But he talks about, he's sitting there monitoring it all day. And people are, dude, he's got 300-400 people watching him. And then at night, he'll do another one and he talks crypto.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Because crypto is being traded all day long, 24/7.
And when we're sleeping, Asia's over there trading it, and it's huge.
And he goes, they're creating new crypto every day, and they'll flip it over to this thing. And so it's like, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Like a friend of mine used to mine it.
You could be a miner.
He built like this huge computer system, and he went mining for Bitcoin.
Yeah,
and we all thought he was nuts, and now he's probably like loaded with a freaking his own private island somewhere or whatever. You know what I mean? I have no idea, but this is like 10 years ago.
But it's not. It's like anything. It's like there's going to be people that get big on the stock market. There's going to be people that big on Bitcoin. It's in the same, ballpark from what I guess.
Yeah.
But what it can do to the economies of the world is going to be very interesting because, now you're going to be able to, like, somebody in Asia can just give me Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I have to worry about, what's the conversion rate from a yen to a dollar and what's the dollar at today and all that stuff.
Sure.
It's going to get interesting.
Yeah,
a lot of things are going to get interesting in the next couple of years.
For sure.
You got to remember, like, the Great Depression took about 10 years for us to freaking come out of it. And it wasn't until we, like, got done with World War II. World War II kind of jump-started that, but it wasn't until we got out of World War II into the early 50s that we finally, like, dug ourselves out of the Great Depression, and it's going to take us 10 years to recover.
I agree.
from what we just went through. I don't think people realize, like, economically, socially, mentally, it's going to take a minute. It's not like, okay, well, the door's open. Like, my daughter's like, Daddy, when Corona's over, you know, I mean, she's 7, so her little brain thinks that, like, you know, well, Christmas comes and goes, and then, all right, well, Corona's gone. We can just go do our thing. She can't wrap her brain around it, but it's going to take a while. Yeah. And what we're going to see on the other side of it, like, our country is a completely, vastly different thing from the Great Depression to after World War II. We're going to see the same thing. Yeah. Hopefully it's better.
Yeah.
Let's hope that it's a better place.
I can only pray, brother.
I just wish people would stop being assholes.
That too.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you have. Someone says, like, what's the best advice you ever got? Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
That's it.
Don't be an asshole.
That's simple advice.
We never even talked about my record today. We talked about some other thing. I put out a record. We didn't even talk about it.
Talk about it.
I don't know. Like, you got to ask me a question. I could definitely talk about it.
Yeah. By the way, and I can't believe we didn't talk about it. It's the whole reason we got you here.
Whatever.
You know, once we get rolling too.
But flow of conversation.
Let me tell you that
now we have a part 2, though.
Yeah, we do have a part 2.
His album has got to be the most realist thing I've heard all year.
Yeah.
And like, it's his confession album.
Yeah.
Like,
I start with a confession. Like,
he pours his heart out into this whole album, bro.
I talk about the failure of my marriage.
Yeah.
And I'm freaking blunt about it.
Yeah. Very blunt.
And it starts there, and then it goes from there. And I've you know, I mean, I've had people talk to me about Brand New Sin Records and how it's affected their lives and stuff like that. But this is the first time I put out something solo that I've had. Every day I'm getting a message from at least someone I know or someone I don't know. A lot of people that I do know, because a lot of people know what I've gone through, and they're like, dude, I can't believe you said what you said on there. I'm like, I don't know. It's what I do, you know? In the past, as a songwriter, sometimes you're like, well, I'm going to talk about something that happened in my life, but I'm going to, like, I'm going to do this kind of shit.
Make it all foggy.
I'm going to foggy and innuendos and, like, maybe that was in, like, no, I'm like, here it is. Here's my personal life. Here's my inside my brain. Here's inside my freaking panic disorder. Here's inside all these things, you know. And some of the songs, even though that I didn't write them, they fit in there. Like the song that I wrote at the end, the last song that was on the record, there is the ones that a Twitch thing where I connected with Johnny Bulford, who wrote Lee Bryce's first #1 hit, and Chris Young's
Hard to Love, right?
No, it was the one called crap. The other one, it was before Hard to Love. It's the other one.
Gotcha.
But he wrote that for him, and then he wrote Chris Young's #1 hit, and he's written all these other ones. His wife's written for Sundance Head, who won, you know. They're just this songwriting team, and then they're like, "Hey, you want to write songs together?" We're writing more together.
Oh, it's so awesome.
Cool.
We sat there and, like, I consider myself a songwriter, but, like, this is what these two do every day.
Yeah.
They used to have a room. We were talking on the Zoom thing. I'm like, well, what did you do in Nashville? Like, we all had these, like, rehearsal rooms, and that's where we go to write every day. And Stapleton's was next to his.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, I heard Stapleton writing Traveler. He goes, that was right around the time I was writing all those things. He goes, I watched Stapleton leave Steel Drivers and do the Johnson Brothers while he was writing the record. He goes, I heard all those songs.
Wow.
He goes, I know, Chris, but he goes, to sit with those two and watch, like, professional songwriters work. And at first I'm like, I don't have any idea what I'm doing, but it was, like, freaking awesome to watch the way they work. It took 4 hours to write that song, but there was a lot of times where we'd stop and we'd talk or we'd just shoot the shit. But it was fascinating. Like, I learned a lot. I can't wait to write with them again.
That's so cool.
It was like we talked about. That was like this last song. I needed 2 songs, and we wrote that one, and then that made me write one more on my own. It inspired me to write another one. But I told them about the record and all the experiences, and they're like, "All right, well, we're going to write about it," so that fits in with that theme.
Yeah.
So it's brutal. And I had a buddy of mine from Carolina, Charlotte, and he goes to me, dude, any future relationship that you have, this girl's going to hear this record and either run fast in the other direction or completely fall in love.
Or it's going to be
with
your manual.
Right.
Like, all right, well, before we date, here you go.
Here.
Like, go listen to this. And if you want to come back tomorrow, we'll talk. Yeah. But if you have any questions, feel free. But if I don't hear from you, I'll understand.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'll understand if
it's
you don't.
such a great album. It really
I'm
is.
proud of it.
Yeah,
I mean, I've always been proud of anything that I've done, but, like, dude, this is just light years ahead of anything that I did before. Because when I left Brand New Sin, I always had other guys writing we always had other people writing, and this is like the first, when I became a solo artist, then I was really writing on my own, and I had written songs my whole life, but nothing that was like I thought was palatable to be able to put out. So I was trying to learn myself as a songwriter, as myself, and I've collaborated with other people over the years, but it's really been the core of what I am. And being a personal, just writing all on your own is terrifying, and then you're like, or you start writing, you're like, well, when you play as many covers as you do, when you try to write something original, like, well, fuck, that's whatever song that is.
Sounds like this.
Sure.
Sounds
You
like
got to
that,
find a way to, like, detach your brains, so be able to do that. But it was so freaking, it was crazy. I'm glad the record is done, and I'm glad it's out. And I did it all on my own. Like, I recorded everything in my house.
Yeah.
And I sent it over to my buddy Tom Chick, and Tom was the guy that, like, because I can't mix. You gotta have someone else do certain shit. And Tom added instrumentation and stuff like that. And for a while, we were gonna add other instruments and stuff like that. But as the songs came along, I'm like, no, this is one dude and very minimal instruments telling a story, and the vocals got to be way out front, because that is what lyrically that has to be out front. So, and then I have one cover on the record, which is a crazy. I told you a story about that, right?
No. What is
so
the
I did.
story
I covered Pat Benatar's "We Belong."
Yep.
Okay. I always loved that song, but the reason why I covered it is about a year or so ago, this guy named Dan Navarro played at 443, Julie Briggs' place, or Julie Leon's place in Syracuse. And he's a singer-songwriter. And she's like, you should come to the show. You should come to the show. I'm like, I can't. I got a gig. And she sends me a video, and she posts it up on Facebook. And he's done with the show, and he's standing there with his guitar, and he's like, well, in 1983, I was ready to give up music. I was going to go work for my uncle's company doing this, and I was done with music. And he tells the story of "We Belong." I didn't realize that wasn't a Pat Benatar song. Dan Navarro and his duo partner, Eric Lowen, wrote it. And he played his version, and has slightly different lyrics. And the song hit harder, because "We Belong" is like Pat, and it's very, we belong there. It's like peace, love, and happiness. But when you dig into the lyrics that he wrote, which are just slight, subtle changes, instead of like, she says, many times I tried to tell you, many times I cried alone. He goes, 20 times I tried to tell you, 20 times I cried alone. Like, dude, 20 fucking times I tried to tell you. That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
So I recorded a version of it a year ago when I heard that, and I just left it on my hard drive. So I'm like, I really like this record, or I really like that version. Maybe I'll release it someday. So one night I'm in Twitch. I never saw Dan. I only saw him on the video. So one night in Twitch, all of a sudden I get rated by Dan Navarro Music. And I'm like, this can't be the same Dan Navarro. And I speak to him like, dude, are you Dan Navarro, like wrote "We Belong" and Eric Lowen, and you were here in Syracuse? He goes, yeah, I was. So I'm like, I got something for you. And I played my version of his song. And he's like, holy shit, sends me a DM. He's like, give me a freaking phone call. So I call him. He's like, dude, that was fucking incredible. He goes, no one other than ourselves have ever covered it with those lyrics. So I'm like, well, I'm thinking about putting it on this record of mine. So I played him some of those other tracks. He's like, dude, I'd be honored if you put it on there.
Wow,
so him and
awesome.
I go, but for this, he goes, you got a thing here, but he goes, I want the track because we're going to release a single, and he's going to sing the backups on it and the harmonies.
Wow.
So I'm going to release that probably next year. So that's how that record landed. That's how that song landed on my album. So there's just all these little things, but it fits with the timeline of what my freaking story is.
Wow.
So craziness.
The power of Twitch.
Power of Twitch.
That's incredible.
Songwriters from Nashville, Dan Navarro, who wrote "We Belong."
And this all happened within a year.
Since March.
9
months.
Since the corona.
9 months. And there's other shit that's happened on there. I just collaborated with the biggest streamer in the UK. Her name's Venus World. And she rated my channel, and dude, this girl's just beautiful, very proper English, just unbelievable voice. I A-B'd her, the way the camera looks and her sound.
Yeah.
When Tripoli came over, I go, I want her sound, A-B the sound. So we did it. And then she reached out. She's like, I want to do a collab series with you. So basically, I covered Evanescence, My Immortal. And then on stream, because she has like 400, 500, 600 people watching her, she pulled up my video and then she sings along with it. I'm going to release it to socials
so
next
cool.
week. We left it specifically for Twitch for a few weeks.
Oh, that's cool.
So we're like, let's see how this goes, and then let's do a friggin' whole cover series. So, but then there's all these other like, it's. I could sit here for another 2 hours and talk about the networking that I've done on there alone. That's the cool thing is like the music scene. And I told you this is the music scene around here has gotten so like, like very competitive and like, and the blend that we used to have, 20 years. In a way, man, I thought that,
I don't see that.
It's the opposite here in Utica.
I think so too.
In Utica, it's completely opposite.
Syracuse said, okay, it didn't seem like like this. And back in the late 90s.
Which it used to be opposite before Utica
it used to be
was
very like this, but it felt like Syracuse kind of went like this for a while.
Really?
But I feel like people live on their own islands and don't want to mingle with each other. If they're going out to a show, they support the band, they're there, and then they bowl.
Yeah.
I watched it at the Lost when I was booking it. It was
Yeah,
like
it does
people were
happen.
coming in, 20 people come in, watch that band, leave. It's like, wait a minute.
Right.
Why aren't you hanging out for everybody else? Like, you weren't helping each other. But inside of Twitch, there's this massive amount like, dude, what can we do to help you? Let's do something together. Let's do this together. Or let's rate each other. Let's do, like, we're just constantly, it's just been, it's made me fall in love. Not that I wasn't in love with music before, but it made me kind of fall in love. It made me realize how far away from what I really wanted to be. And then Twitch made me do that. And if it wasn't for Twitch, I wouldn't have had the balls to do the record that we just talked about.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have had the time.
Yeah.
That was half the reason. I had all these
Definitely wouldn't
songs
have
that
the
were
time.
kind of half written and this written and I'm like, I got to figure something out. So that's what happened.
Yeah.
Right on, brother. Wow, we've been at it an hour and a half. You probably have to bounce, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I got to pick up my son.
Joe, to promote your album, where people could pick it up and how they
Everywhere.
can find you.
It's called Breakdown. It's on all the streaming sites. You can get all that stuff everywhere. You can get on my site. You can actually buy a CD. Listen, if you buy one CD from me, that will. If you bought 5 CDs from me, that would make me more money than I'll make off of Spotify and everything else
Yeah,
in
it's
1 year.
true.
So like, you may never play the CD, but if you really want to support, buy it.
Yeah.
I ship it myself. And you can buy it on there, or if you go to my Bandcamp, I get usually every Friday I get 100% of the money from Bandcamp.
Wow, that's great.
That's a great
So-
platform that's
so-
helping out the artists. Awesome, man. And the album's great, people. It really is. You want to hear a real album, and you want to hear Joe pour his heart out, and you want to hear his confessions in life. It's on that album,
Yeah.
and it's there's a sense of reality on there that it's like none other, and it really is remarkable, man. So
Thank you.
great job with that album.
We'll have to have part 2.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do it
please.
anytime, man. We do this on Mondays, so
Yep.
please, you got an open door anytime you want to come down and hang out. And next time we'll get some food or something like that.
Yeah.
I need some tomato pie.
Get some tomato pie.
Yeah, what
in
I'll do next time he comes on is I'll make sure I have my wife or somebody pick up my son so that we can hang out
we
for
can
longer than an
hang
hour and
out
a half.
forever.
We can
Yeah.
Rogan it. There was one time I can't remember who Rogan had on. They went for like 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it happens.
They got
and I
ripping.
feel like that would happen easily.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like an hour and a half went by so fast.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we can go for another 5 more hours if we wanted to.
And I mean, we call it Local Music Monday, but we like to tell stories and talk about different things. So I mean,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
it's
Yeah, absolutely. But thanks for coming, man. I
Welcome,
appreciate
man.
you taking
Thanks for having
time
me.
for us and coming to hang out. And then thank you so much to everybody out there in social media land. If you're on Facebook, click the share button, help spread the word of Joe and Showtime and Port Tim and everything that we're doing here on Disruption
Or
Network.
what's the other project? Rossi Smith.
Rossi Johnson is Smithson Esquire.
Do you have gigs you are playing this weekend you want to promote?
I think I'm playing once. Oh yeah, so Saturday as a trio at Lucan's, and then Monday, Port Tim, we're doing the full band at Fratello's for their Christmas party.
Oh, cool.
That's right.
That'll be a
Christmas
great
is
time.
next week.
It's here already.
Next
man.
Friday,
It's
yeah.
here already. I
I gotta
can't
finish my
believe it.
Christmas shop.
Yeah, I know. I got to start. Thank you so much to EJA Moving Services. Thank you to Attorney Dave Longaretta, Utica Coffee, Saranac Brewery. If not for our sponsors, this podcast is not possible. So tomorrow, Matt Caustic joining me.
Oh, nice.
He's going to come in via the Zoom line, so it'll be good to chop it up with my boy Matt and talk some heavy metal. For sure. Likes, subscribe, comment, all that social media lingo, all things Disruption Network. Joe, Justin, thank you guys. We'll see you again later.